Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are tackling a story that is incredibly dark and complex.
Inconsequential.
Very.
Yeah.
We're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. And our mission here is really to cut through all the noise and understand how one man built such a web of power.
Right. We've gone through a mountain of source material, legal docs, investigative reports to trace how he built this network that, shielded him for decades.
So we're going to break down his rise, the scandal itself, and then the really complicated aftermath of his death.
That context is everything.
It is. Because this isn't just about one criminal, it's about a failure of the system. So let's start at the beginning, the ascent. Because he didn't start out with this kind of influence.
Oh, not at all. What's so fascinating is that his power was completely engineered. He didn't inherit it.
He wasn't from an elite family or anything.
No, he began as a math teacher at the Dalton School in Manhattan, a very elite place, but still a teacher. The real shift came in the 80s when he got an introduction to Leslie Wexner.
The financial heavyweight.
Exactly. And that connection wasn't just a job, it was a springboard. It launched him into the world of private wealth management, where the rules are, well, they're just different.
Okay, so what was his angle in that world? How did he use finance to gain so much control? What do the sources say?
It wasn't about normal investing. His model was all about exclusivity and opacity. Complete secrecy.
So no transparency.
Zero. He reportedly demanded total control over his clients' money, and more importantly, total silence. He wasn't just managing their finances, he was managing their secrets.
And that creates leverage.
Immense leverage, and that financial power, it quickly became social and political power. We have to talk about the assets he used to build out this network.
Tools of the trade, so to speak.
Absolutely. You have the massive Manhattan townhouse, one of the biggest private homes in the city. Then there's the Zorro Ranch in New Mexico, very remote, very private.
And of course, the plane.
The plane. That was probably the single most important tool. The sources all call it the Lolita Express.
It just became the central piece of the puzzle, didn't it? Yeah. It wasn't just a way to get from A to B.
No, it was a mobile gateway to his world. The flight logs from the investigations show this incredible cross-section of powerful people, politicians, CEOs, academics, all flying with him.
So the lavish lifestyle wasn't just him being rich, it was a strategy.
A highly sophisticated, tactical environment. It was designed to build relationships and make sure he was seen as the ultimate gatekeeper to this untouchable, elite world. And that facade is how the crimes stayed hidden for so long.
Which brings us to the horrifying reality behind all of that wealth, the abuse, the scandal, and the complete failure of justice for so long.
The crimes were systematic. He was accused of running a sophisticated sex trafficking ring out of his homes, preying on vulnerable young women and girls.
And we have to acknowledge the bravery of the survivors who eventually came forward.
Absolutely. They are the ones who broke that wall of silence.
But even when they did, justice failed. Spectacularly. Let's talk about 2008. This is where you really see how power can bend the legal system. What are the specifics of that plea deal?
The specifics are they're crucial to understanding how protected he was. So in 2008, he gets this non-prosecution agreement from the Southern District of Florida.
Brokered by Alex Acosta, who was the U.S. attorney at the time.
Right. And this deal lets him plead guilty to just 2 state prostitution charges.
Or what was the real kicker of the deal, the part that just seems unbelievable?
He only served 13 months in a county jail. And get this, he was allowed work release for up to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week.
So he was basically going to his office every day from jail.
He was. But the most alarming part, the part that enraged everyone, was that the deal gave blanket immunity to any potential co-conspirators.
Wow.
It meant the entire network, everyone who might have helped facilitate the abuse, was shielded from federal prosecution.
That is the definition of systemic protection. It's not just about him, it's about protecting everyone around him. So how did that deal just prolong the silence for another decade?
Well, it sent a clear message, didn't it? It created an environment of fear. The sources point to intimidation, huge financial settlements to buy silence, and just the raw fear of crossing someone who could obviously get away with anything.
Well, the federal government is protecting him and his friends. Who are you going to go to?
Exactly. Challenging that circle was not just risky, it could be ruinous.
But that all finally came to a head in 2019. The pressure had just built up too much. New reporting, new investigators, and he was arrested again.
It was a massive moment. It felt like finally accountability was here. He was indicted on federal charges of sex trafficking and conspiracy, and you can see from the reports a shockwave went through those elite circles around the world.
This time it felt different. It felt like the system had been forced to act.
Yes. The feeling was that there would finally be a full accounting, not just of him, but of his network.
But that expectation was just cut short. His death in jail in August 2019. Officially, it's a suicide. But the questions that came out of it have been deafening.
That event just threw the whole case into chaos again. The official ruling is what it is, but the records from that night show stunning security failures.
Guards falling asleep, surveillance footage being compromised.
Right. He was left alone even though he had recently been on suicide watch. For the investigators, his death was a huge roadblock. It stopped depositions dead in their tracks.
And this vacuum, of course, fueled an incredible number of conspiracy theories, which, is understandable when the official story relies on such a massive failure of protocol.
Exactly right. His death didn't bring any closure, it just shifted the focus. For many, it cemented his reputation as someone so connected he was protected even in death. But, and this is important, the legal fight is far from over.
Yeah, the sources are really clear on this. His death just changed the target. It shifted from him to the infrastructure he built.
Absolutely. The trial and conviction of Ghislaine Maxwell, who was so central to his operation, that proves accountability for the network is still being pursued.
And all the civil lawsuits against his estate.
Yes. The efforts to seize his assets, like his private island, to compensate the survivors, that shows that justice is continuing, even if the main figure is gone. His estate is now a battleground.
So as we step back from this, what is the ultimate takeaway here? What does our dive into all this material really tell us?
I think the core finding isn't just about one man's horrific crimes. It's about the profound institutional failure that was necessary to let it happen for decades.
It's a case study.
It's a case study in how wealth can buy secrecy, how influence can neutralize the justice system, and how even the most blatant crimes can be shielded when the powerful are involved.
Right. The conversation has to be bigger than just Epstein. It has to be about the systemic complicity that allowed that 2008 deal, the years of silence, and all the failures around his death.
And we have to stay informed on the ongoing cases, the inquiries into his network, and the policies being debated to stop this kind of institutional protection from happening again.
The legacy of this case, it really demands that.
It does, and it raises a really uncomfortable question. If wealth and power can derail justice in such a high-profile, egregious case like this, what does that mean for the accountability of powerful people operating just below that level, away from the media spotlight?
That is a chilling thought.
Yeah.
The story of Jeffrey Epstein is a cautionary tale about unchecked power, and it's one that requires us to keep asking these hard questions. It's a chapter that can't be closed until there's a full reckoning.
A powerful note to end on.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning.